As Jen mentioned, of the 7 cases reported here in Alberta, at least 3 of the patients are connected to the Grand Princess cruise ship. Now, that ship finally docked in Oakland, California today. On board, more than 230 Canadians. For more on the ship and what happens now to the remaining passengers, we go to the CBC's Erin Collins. So, Erin, let's start with the Canadians on board. What's going to happen to them?
Well, Andrew, that really depends on how they're feeling. So everyone who is off that ship's going to be tested, and if they're showing any symptoms of this virus, then they're going to be quarantined right here in California, sent to medical facilities. Of course, those that are deemed to be healthy are going to be taken to a charter flight that the federal government has organized. They're going to be flown to CFB Trenton in Ontario, where they'll be quarantined there, perhaps in self-isolation, but perhaps at the base. So it's really going to depend on the tests that are done once those Canadians are on the ground.
So, Erin, I know you talked with some of the passengers on board the ship. What are they telling you?
Well, they're telling me they're looking forward to this cruise coming to an end. I mean, nobody signed up for this, right? They've been in quarantine since Thursday, circling around the bay since Wednesday, and really not knowing what the future would hold. So this is sort of the next step now that they're in Oakland to getting home. And it's not going to be a short process. Of course, you know, they're still going to have to make their way back to Canada, and then they're going to have to make their way through that quarantine. So, you know, they've been fairly optimistic. You know, they've been saying things like, you know, the crew on board the ship has been trying their best. They've had room service inside their rooms, but I mean, being trapped inside one of these 150 square foot cabins for the last week can't have been fun. Some of the folks I've spoken to had a balcony at least, and I think that makes a big difference. You can imagine how this would have been if you've been spending day after day in a tiny room with just a little porthole to look out of.
Sure. And Erin, I understand we're also hearing warnings from the federal government. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the federal government is saying, you know, if you're scheduled to go on a cruise, don't. You know, this is a place that's obviously helping with the spread of COVID-19. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, it's a contained environment where people are eating in sort of the same environments. And they're saying if you're supposed to go on a cruise, don't do it. I can't imagine who would want to go on a cruise given the things that are happening, but the federal government is certainly warning against it. Now, interestingly, I did, you know, speak to a Canadian on board the Grand Princess earlier today that says they've got another cruise book on this same ship in May, and they're going to go.
Wow. Erin, thanks for this.